If we look at your question, if we group them in terms of theme, well, you can say right or wrong, but what I'm trying to say is that there is anything that commits in dream has no ethical effect. Okay, I didn't commit any crime. Sometimes, I might have built big pagoda, I might have done a lot of meditation in my dream. Sometimes, explaining the Buddha's teaching to people in my dream. I don't actually accumulate any meritorious deeds in that. Meaning, the subconscious mind is weak, that we consider it to be only the effect. We call it resultant mind. Resultant mind. Meaning, during daytime yesterday, I might have had one or two frustrating moments, and that might have led to me, dreaming like that.
But that effect doesn't continue on because
No. It's simply an effect, or the demonstration of an effect, manifestation of something. But psychologically, even though ethically it's not important, psychologically it's important. That indicates the retention of some of the negative emotion. See, if you have a bad dream often, you shouldn't leave it like that. You should take care of it. Consciousness arises. Consciousness, it comes and goes. It moves all the time. Now, my consciousness, because I'm thinking, is between the idea and my mind. Your consciousness is between my voice and your ear. Sometimes between this and your eye. When your eye and visual object, when they are in contact, consciousness arises. We call this consciousness based on consciousness that has eye-based consciousness. Now, we switch off the light, you can't see this, but I still keep talking. Now you can hear my voice. The contact is between your ears and my voice, and you're aware of something. That awareness is what we call consciousness. That one is ears, then sound and consciousness. Eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So this is the consciousness that we understand. It's a dynamic process that is working.
So like the five attributes are needed to have an illusion of the self, right? So the self is actually like a composite of the five attributes.
In India those days, there are two ways of during the Buddha's time. There are two, shall we say, is it enough to say two schools of thought. Who believe in soul or in self. One of them, the first one is they identify this to be soul, to be self. Then the question is, what happens if this body dies and and perishes. Where is the soul? That is why in Hinduism you come up with a theory that now this is like a cloth. You're just changing your clothes. This physical body is like clothes. But there is another school of thought that believes that soul of self is outside of this five aggregates. That exists separately of this. Yeah. This is in the ancient Indian religious thought. It exists separately of this. One identifying with this five, the other believe that soul or self exists separately of this. Sometimes they call that one universal soul. In Hinduism they use this word, universal soul. In Judaism, in Christianity, in Islam, soul is the belief in soul is quite similar to that. What the Buddha is saying is that there is nothing apart from this, and there is nothing outside this. There is nothing separate from this.
So the self is visible on this, like there's no self apart from these five aggregates. But
yeah.
The self is also not these five aggregates.
Now, I want to define the word self that you use, because otherwise we are not going to be at the same length, the same wave of length. You might have read something and you might have got some idea, from those books, what self is like. I'm just going to present my understanding to you. So before we go to that, I'd like to summarize this one. In any experience, maybe you have your lunch, you put food into your mouth, you start biting, you get some taste. That moment, that experience has these five components, five aspects. The food, your tongue, the taste, pleasant, unpleasant. Are you cooking already? Or you just rely on mom's cooking? Oh.
I can't cook.
Oh.
It's very bad.
So, a feeling, this is nice. This, when you eat something now, you're going to, this is this food, this is that food, because you have had this food before. Your memory. If you haven't had that, your memory tells you that this is new. I have never had this food. This is good. This is not good. All those things, all those emotions. And you start eating the same food, you get bored. Boredom, emotion. I don't know here if you like baked beans. In England, people eat a lot of baked beans for breakfast. When mother put baked beans on the table, and the children asked us, "Mommy, today what's for breakfast?" It's baked beans. Yeah, so very excited. The next day, "Mommy, what's for breakfast today?" Baked beans. Yeah, not as excited as the third day. Wednesday, before you go to school, you have your breakfast. "Mommy, what's today? What we're going to have for our breakfast today?" "It's baked beans, darling." Yeah. third stage, the fourth day. What's today? Is it the same baby? Yes. Yeah. Emotion. Judgment. Actually, this one, consciousness, comes at an early stage. Before this. After this, this one. But this one is just a mere awareness. There is no color. This is color, the color you put in. This is almost without color. At the initial stage of knowing, we are talking about the process of cognition in psychology, the process of cognition. At the earliest stage, okay, it's just this. At the earliest stage, this is just something. Maybe something that you are not quite sure what is it yet. So conscious. As the cognition becomes clearer, we are concentrating in number 2, number 3, number 4. What I'm trying to say is that these 5 components, they form our experience and a dynamic process, not static. People are looking for what is so, and they like to present something as static. This is where Buddhism and others, where we differ. So far, for this, any question?
So, self is more of experience in the sense that it's like a chain of cause and the self is always changing, right? So, like a self at one point of time is the self at one point of time is very dependent on the self at the previous moment. The self is always changing. So there's no fixed self.
Yeah. If you understand this way, self is allowed. Self is allowed. It's allowable. It's permissible in Buddhism. We come to the idea of self now. Okay. And why the Buddha? How do we reconcile the idea of karma? That a person has to be responsible for their own action.
Yeah.
On the one hand, on the other, there is no self. Then who is actually responsible for this? Okay, and this is the question that we face often, because the theory of karma is very important. The belief in karma. This is the foundation of our ethics. But in Buddhist philosophy, if you only believe in karma and you only stay with your karma, you don't go beyond your karma, there is no liberation. Enlightenment or liberation is about reaching above karma, meaning the karma, the karmic impact no longer applies to you.
But like, if there's no self or no no like fix, like we don't have a fix. Then there's no one that's responsible. Like the karma does.
Yes, this question is the core of your interest, because 8 of your 10 questions you're going to center on this. We come to this. But first, I'd like to explain one important Buddhist philosophy. This is how to this what we call anatta, and this is what people translate as non-self. I want to go to explain the discourse, the second lecture of the Buddha. He explained this one. I'm going to put this in a simple and brief. One of the explanation that we can get from here is what does it mean anatta? In the sutta it means you cannot I want to use old English. You cannot will that, meaning you cannot command. Okay, you cannot will, you cannot command, you cannot govern. You cannot change its nature. What does it mean by this? Now I have a broken leg. My mobility is limited, so I have to keep it high. My left foot, and I have to keep it still, stable, except during the time I do exercise. When I do this from time to time, okay, I feel some tension in my muscle, some strain. That tension, that strain, is the nature of, in the ancient times they use the word the wind element. The wind element. This is about the circulation. This is the nature of the circulation. It's my foot, but I can't dictate it. Okay, don't be like this. You have to be like this. Now you have been sitting here for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. You can't tell your body, okay, don't be in pain. Don't be in pain. You can't dictate your body. Your body is going to behave the way it does according to its nature. According to its nature. This is one definition of anatta in that sutta, in the Buddha's second lecture. In other words, we cannot prevent the body from suffering. We can do something to relieve it, but the nature of suffering, the nature of dukkha is there. So we have to eat every 6-7 hours, and the body has to process the food, and then we have to eat again, and this is the nature. So the second one is that the 5 experiences that we explained earlier. sometimes you have very pleasant experience out of that. Sometimes very unpleasant experience out of that. Out of the 5 components. But none of those experiences is unique to you. It is so unique, your sister wouldn't be able to understand you when you tell. You have a very nice ice cream. Wow, I have very nice ice cream. If you tell your sister about this ice cream, if this is so unique to you, she wouldn't be able to understand you. But our human psychology is that we like to personalize this, meaning we like to make it unique to us. Okay, now I had a bad fall in the botanic garden and then I had to go for surgery. The tendency of the mind, when there is no mindfulness, the tendency of the mind to think, this has never happened to anyone. Okay, in the botanic garden, it happened only to me. I'm such an unlucky person. The mind tends to think that way. Meaning, I like to use this pain to create a unique experience for me. You don't know, you have never gone through this. Don't say anything about this. That kind of mind comes in. If somebody says something nasty to you, you are doing your best in the school, you're doing your best in the community, somebody comes and says something bad to you. Now, you think you don't deserve this. Because now you do your best and you're the only one who is receiving this negative comment. Everyone else, okay, they are fine. They got compliment and all that. We tend to think that way. When my mom passed away, when my mom died, I have been to many funerals, but when my mom died, I couldn't speak. I couldn't talk. Because we like to think that pain, that loss was unique to us. Just before my mom, there was a funeral, and after my mom's cremation, there was also a funeral. I couldn't connect to that pain. To me, only my pain, and my pain is very unique. We like to think that way. What the Buddha is saying, that if you're going to think like that, you're increasing your pain. Just look at other people, and look, they are also in pain. Share with their pain. Not unique means something we can share, something we should share. If I share, if I look at other people, wow, that person lost his uncle, that person lost his mother, that person lost his child. When we talk, when we share, the pain, or when you say dukkha, the pain that we have is lessened because we share.
Does it mean that in a sense we detach? Because it's not linked to us anymore, it becomes because it's not linked to us, then there's the pain and pleasure becomes very indifferent. Because there's pain and pleasure which become the same. So there's no difference.
I'm very reluctant to use the word indifferent. Because it carries a certain connotation. I'm allowed to feel my loss when I lost my mom. Okay, but when I try to see it as unique, I'm topping up the pain. Look at the pain that I have from my food, okay? The original pain. This can be managed with simple painkiller. But if I think this is unique to me, no one else has ever broken their feet, okay, in the botanical garden. If I see it that way, I'm going to think, maybe I have done something wrong, maybe I dislike that, maybe I have offended, some tree spirit and that sort of thing. I will start thinking, and I would start, scaring myself, to scare myself. Meaning, my mind is topping up the pain. Topping up the pain, which is not necessary, which we can avoid. This pain is not avoid. I can't avoid this because I have a fall and there's a fracture. I can't avoid this pain. But the pain that I can avoid is this psychological top up. I use the word top up. We top up everything. If somebody says something nasty to you yesterday, you keep thinking about this today and next week, and you even dream about the person. Now you're topping it up. So when the Buddha talks about anatta, this is the way we should view dukkha. We should view suffering. We should look at suffering. He's talking about this. How to deal with this. Now, for this pain, I can be with this pain. I have to look at this pain as if it's my only child. We call this in the discourse of metta. Okay, the Buddha said to look at your suffering as your only child, meaning you pay total attention to this child. The word you use, indifferent, is not applicable. Detachment, not applicable. We observe this pain, okay? Observe this pain. If I have only one child, if my child is crying, I'm not going to run away from this child. I'm not going to blame this child. I'm not going to fight with this child. I'm going to give all my attention. What's wrong with you, Dad? In this way, I have to be with the pain in my food. This is what we say, living at the present moment, even if the present moment is full of pain. Now, I don't have much pain now. After 20 days, okay, of operation, I don't have much pain. Then when I'm in touch with this, with my food, there is joy because there is no pain. I'm allowed to feel this joy. I shouldn't be indifferent to this. The Burmese misunderstand the word upekkha so much. That's a different topic. Okay? Now, I'd like to go into this a little bit more detail. Anatta is a combined word, combination of two words. Na atta, na means no, atta. What people translate as soul or self. Psychologically, the Buddha talks about this. He breaks down this atta psychologically into three. Into three. The Buddha said, when people look at look at pain. Now I can look at my injured foot with atta. The way to look at this as atta is three. One is to look at as this as mine. This is mine. Meaning this pain is mine and mine alone. Meaning I personalize this. You, Lord, have never experienced this. I'm the only one with this experience. Listen to me. That's sort of thing. So, I want to feel unique with this. And the second one is arrogant. I use my experience of pain, or maybe my experience of joy, my experience of pleasure, to become arrogant. You don't understand. I have gone through the life experience. This is me. If you don't agree with me, now I feel offended. You can see how the mind is vulnerable. If you agree with me, I'm very elated and over the moon. Look how emotionally how I am being shaken. This is called, sometimes we call this in I'm going to write it in Burmese because this is mana. Now I'm hanging on to this. I don't want to let it go. Instead of letting go, I'm topping many things up, on the pain. This is called tanha. And another thing is that I'm going to construct my identity out of this broken leg. I'm going to identify. This means this broken leg, this exam will stay with me forever. I'm going to look at the world out of this. And you should look at me out of this as well. Okay? You should look at me as somebody who is very strong because I have broken my leg. And I want this identity to last forever. To last forever. You see, in psychology, these three things, they correlate, they match with narcissism. Self-love. Okay? Pride. The desire to live forever. Narcissism. And this one, the Buddha called ditthi. Wrong view. Tanha ditthi. So the Buddha analyzed atta, self, into these three. Psychologically. In his second lecture. Now how you're going to translate anatta? The word, when people translate simply as non-self, it doesn't cover this. People translate as non-soul, it doesn't cover this. So I have problem with those translations. Anatta is about psychological transformation from atta to anatta. Wherever we look at the world with this view, this is the view, world view, we increase the dukkha. We increase problem, not pain. But whenever we transform this atta into the view of anatta, then we lessen our pain. Any questions so far?
So atta is self, and in this case, right? So in this case, having a self is not it's not a good thing. That's why.
No, having a self, if your idea of self, your view of self, doesn't have this component, that's okay. What I want to say is that. Now, if you look at Hinduism, Brahmanism, which exists before Buddhism, Jainism, a little earlier than Buddhism and also contemporary, they believe there is something that lasts forever, an identity that lasts forever.
So in Buddhism, the self can be something that is not free of this. There's a self other than this.
Yes, if you say Medway is a self, Erica is a self, Homo is self, okay. We refer to this. This is okay so long that we are aware this self is composed of the 5 experiences I explained earlier. And these 5 experiences, they are in a constant change, constant flux. Then that's okay. This is very important.
So there is a self.
You can have.
So it's not to say there's no self in Buddhism.
No, we can say there's no permanent self.
Okay. There's no permanent self. So I don't know. But if there's no permanent self, then this leads to the question that if there's no permanent self, then what is the self that is being reincarnated? It's because Buddhism does believe in reincarnation or like rebirth. But then if there's no permanent self, then which self or like what is being reincarnated? And if there's nothing that's being reincarnated, then what's the point of karma? Because we are not going to be affected anyway after we die. Like we are not going to be reborn into a different person, right? Because we don't have a soul. Then like what is?
I think your question is very profound, but in some way, it's also because we look at the question in a fixed way. Because we think, so there is a soul, and is a soul that fixed, permanent soul that is reborn. In biology, that we understand, in biology, in science, okay, our cell, our molecule, they don't stay the same. They change all the time. One of your question is, okay, our young self and what we are now, are they the same? So you can ask that. You can ask yourself when you were 5 years old and yourself now, your molecule now, are they the same? Forget about 5 years old. 6 o'clock in the morning and now, so what's the time? Now 11 o'clock. 5 hours different, The cell in the body, the molecule, are they the same? Scientifically, they are not. They regenerate all the time.
But like, can you say that it's the same but different at the same time? Because you're still in the same stream of consciousness, like you're still living the same life. But then just that like the cells have been regenerated. So we're not the same but we're the same.
Exactly. That's in the King of Melinda question, you have come across this. Maybe you have not. Yeah, it's neither the same nor different. The answer is, if you plant, if you have a plant and this plant comes from that plant, or come from the seed from that plant, yes, that sort of thing.
So, kind of like the first mango, when we talk about the guy stealing the mango, right? And like the mango that he stole is not the same as the mango that's planted. So the mango from the tree is not the same as the same mango, right? So like the physical existence of the mango that's planted is no more, but it lives through its effects, which is the mango and spoon.
Yeah.
So that's rebirth.
Yes, and the word that we use to describe this process. We look at our body as a process. Erica is 5 years old, and how old are you now? 13, you know. As 5 years old and 13, how do you feel? Are you the same? You see? We move on, but there's something that comes with that, the energy of our action.
Like the effects of the action that we do now in
Yes.
the current stream of consciousness affects these effects. So after we pass away, then we have no more existence really. We have no soul, so there's no more existence. But like, what lives on and what is rebirth, what is reborn is that the effects that are caused by our actions now is as a cause and effect, it continues on into other people's lives or other ways. So that is reincarnation.
Reincarnation.
Not the misconception of the soul being reincarnated. So it's more of like a whole causal chain. So in a sense, after we die, we don't really die forever, but like more like we live on in our effects.
Yes, you know, in the law of cause and effect, the dependent origination. If we are going to sum up in one word, as long as you want to live, you're going to be reborn. Meaning, you know, the desire to live is the engine. If you want ice cream, you're going to be thinking about ice cream all the time. That desire is the engine. You're going to find ice cream somewhere.
So like if there's no soul, or like if we follow that principle, right, then what's the point of the 4 realms? You know, like the hell, animal, and like there's this misunderstanding.
They have a complete 5 experience, 5 aspects of experience, 5 khandha like us.
So it's wrong to say that if we, for example, if we do something very bad now, or we accumulate bad karma, or we will be reborn as like in the 4 realms, 4 lower levels.
Yes, you see, there is interpretation or, you know, imperfect description to describe them as spirit. Like in Africa, like in the Chinese ancestor worship and that sort of thing, you know, they like to think they are connecting with spirit. But in the Buddhist understanding, we see them as a complete person with the 5 aggregates.
So the 31 realms of existence in Buddhism is not really like a realm or like a spiritual kind of thing, but more of like so like for example the 4 lower realms, there's hell, right? Hell is not really like a physical place, but what a person can
suffer psychologically. Well, this one I cannot explain you a lot, you know, because I have not seen it. I can only tell you what I have learned from the scripture. That is, you can imagine how to be a different universe, for example, where people have just like us, just like as they have all the mind and body just like us, but they suffer and suffer and suffer.
But we won't be reborn as them, right? If we are creating that karma because there's no rebirth in the first place, we live on as our defects. So if there's no rebirth.
No, I think you have a fixed perception of yourself. But maybe there's another thing that we need to get into, cause and effect, because you mentioned in your question a lot of cause and effect. But the way cause and effect, the law of cause and effect works, we can look at that. We can look at that. Now the way I get this body. This is the law of cause and effect. Cause and effect. And in the law of cause and effect, the most important thing is the intention. If the intention is ethical, pure, wholesome, then the effect will be good. Cetana. Intention, volition. Cetana. You see? Cetana. That is why we talk about cetana, volition, intention being at the heart of Buddhist ethics. The intention. But cause and effect is a big thing, is a big thing to that. But I think the way you put that is that you have a certain interpretation of your own. So I want to ask you to kind of revisit, your analysis of cause and effect.
I understand it as this whole chain of cause and effect, that everybody's cause and effect is that if they intersect each other. For example, like my cause and effect, like if I do something, it doesn't only affect me, but it affects people around me. So it's like the whole cause and effect.
True.
So even after we pass on, right, the causes, the effects of our own actions in our lifetime continue to affect other people, and the causes become effects, and the effects become causes for another effect. It goes on.
Exactly. Yeah. And what the Buddha is saying when he talks about anatta is, he talks about how to stop this cause and effect. How to stop this process of cause and effect.
Also, it's a whole chain of cause and effects, and then we have then there won't be. Then how does just now the 31 realms question, how does it come into play? It's not really because we're not reborn as them, right? Then what is the
why we are not reborn? Why you say we are not reborn?
Oh, it's not reborn as a like for example, I die in this life. Next life I reborn as another human. It's not like that because we don't have the soul, right? So what is their cause? What is their
No. I think you mix Buddhist understanding with non-Buddhist understanding. You see? The non-Buddhist understanding, the Hindu understanding is that, you are reborn, that your soul transmigrates.
Yeah.
That's the word. So you get around that one. Because, you accept Buddhist cause and effect, but you also bring in the non-Buddhist understanding of soul.
How does the 31 realms of the different come into play if only the Buddhist understanding, from the Buddhist perspective?
No, I should put it this way. Many of the realms, and they're not unique to Buddhism. In India, this kind of pan-Indian understanding, like the Brahma world, the divine world, that kind of thing, and also the four realms, the four unfortunate realms. These things, they are there in the pre-Buddhist understanding. In the pre-Buddhist understanding, they are there. But the Buddha, the pre-Buddhist Buddhism is full of meditators with higher achievement who with elevated consciousness, who can see many things like that. So some of those terms, some of those understanding of cosmology and that case, Buddhism inherent. What is, if you allow me to use the word unique, what is unique to Buddhism is the Four Truths. Looking at things through the Four Noble Truths. These are the Four Noble Truths. And using the Eightfold Path, the middle path, as the way to stop suffering. This is what unique to Buddhism.
So there's no difference in the way Buddhists see the 31 realms from other religions?
Other religions, they in India, I was the word in India. Indian religion, many of them, they share this belief. To me, I'm not quite bothered with the cosmological side. For one thing, because I can't verify. But another thing, I just have so much to live here. I just have so much to live. We can categorize our question into two. One is empirical, this is practical. The other is metaphysical. This is beyond eye, ears, nose, tongue, and our thought here. So some of the questions related to 31 realms, okay, because we don't have a very high concentration. No need to talk about those realms, okay. Even in the last years, we don't remember everything. When our memory is very limited because of the emotional shakiness, because of the impact of negative emotion, metaphysical questions sometimes, is a waste of time. We waste our time. It doesn't mean that in Buddhism we don't address these questions. There are places where these questions are addressed. What's the time now? 11:22. I'd like to stop here for my lunch, and if you don't mind, we can continue if you like to stay, if you have time, or you can come another time. Erica, which one is your question? Okay. Now, actually, we have not gone through one by one. We can revisit the question one by one, just to see, if we have covered them. If you can take that outside.